Steps in the divorce process. I always say there are two pathways to divorce. Some people decide that they want to engage an attorney, exchange some financial discovery, and by discovery I mean a disclosure of financial records, and immediately engage a mediator and go down the path of mediation. That is one approach to divorce. Other people decide, no, I need to file my divorce complaint now. There's something happening now, and I want to start the process now. We file the complaint for divorce. You become the plaintiff. The other side, intuitively, they are the defendant. Once we get the complaint back, we serve it on the defendant. Now, it doesn't have to be what you see on TV. A stranger doesn't have to knock on the door, particularly if you're living in the same house. I try to avoid that process if I can. If I can't, we serve them. Fine. They then have to answer the complaint. They have 35 days to answer the complaint. And then the court schedules what's called a case management conference. Think of your case management conference as a scheduling conference. It's nothing really sexy. The lawyers, the judge, we get out our calendars and we decide dates by which we're going to do certain things. In some counties, we can do this by consent and we never have to see the judge if there's two lawyers in the case. Beautiful. Then we engage in discovery. We're exchanging financial records. We're answering questions under oath. We call those interrogatories. When we finish that, we then go off to mediation. You'll have two mediation opportunities, one as it relates to custody and parenting time, and the other on all your economic issues. If you don't resolve in mediation, the court will schedule something called an intensive settlement conference. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's intense. We're in court all day. It's a little shuttle diplomacy. The lawyers are going back. We're caucusing with the judge. We're conferencing off the record. We're coming up with creative solutions, perhaps, for your case. And oftentimes, on that day, if we don't settle, guess what? The judge sends us back to mediation. We try again and again and again and again, and if we finally say we're at a stalemate, the court will schedule us for a trial. Now, what happens? How far away is that? That could be 2 years down the road, this entire process. 2 years down the road before you get a trial date. In some counties, it could be 3 years down the road before I actually get a true trial date. And even then, on the morning of the trial, what do you think the judge says? Is there any opportunity to settle? Maybe you want to sit out in the hallway and talk a little bit and try to settle the case. How long does a divorce take? Well, I don't know. How long does it take to boil a pot of water? Okay, there might be a real number for that. There's no real number for a divorce. It varies by county. It varies depending on the complexity of your case. If I'm doing business valuations and lifestyle analysis, those can take months. If I'm doing a full-on custody evaluation, that can take months just for that component of the divorce. So I typically, before COVID, said an average divorce was somewhere around 18 months. I now say, if you're really going to go through the court for each and every step, 2 to 3 years. Time is of the essence, and you want freedom. You want to put an end to paying your lawyer. I'm not offended. You want to put an end to taking days off from work and going to court. You want to put an end to hearing from a judge or a mediator. Well, how do you get there? You settle your case. That doesn't mean you roll over and give your spouse everything your spouse is asking for. It does mean that you should strongly consider mediating your case. The divorce timeline can vary. It can vary based simply because you live in a county that has a higher volume than another county. It can also vary based on the complexities of your case. It can vary based on how complicated your spouse and your spouse's attorney want to make the case. And it can also vary because you need certain experts to perform an analysis in your case, from a forensic accountant to a custody evaluator to someone doing a business evaluation or a lifestyle analysis. All of those things take time and they can further delay your case.